the one, the only, the true beast himself, Dan Severn. How are you, Dan?
Well, I'm good. There's quite a build-up there. I'm thinking, wow, the 100th episode. That's over how long of a period of time? You say every Tuesday, so that's
the show.
Pretty
Dan
impressive.
has been going.
So honored.
The show's been going for roughly 2.5 years. We've been on this network for 1.5 years, so 100 shows in about 1.5 years' time.
Well, no, I think that's fantastic because a lot of these types of things just kind of come and they go pretty quickly.
And you know what? Like I said, we intentionally lined up guests for this show based on who have had a lot of impact on our show, who's our good friends on the show, who are people that have taken care of us. And Dan the Beast Severn, you are number one on the list. So we're very glad to have you here tonight.
Well, I appreciate that very much. It must be a short list then, huh?
It's a very short list, Dan. Just kidding, of course. Dan, it's been a while. It's been about 8 months since we've talked to you, Dan. I think the last time we talked to you, you were just getting ready to have a Greco-Roman wrestling match, was it, Zane?
It was grappling match.
Grappling, that's what it was. Grappling match.
Submission, yeah.
Submission match.
Grappling match, yeah.
So tell us how that went, Dan, and tell us what you got going on now.
Well, that has come and gone. It was my very first professional submission grappling match of my career, and let's just say it was interesting at best. I spotted 3 decades of age, 65 pounds of size, and the young man basically had won either 23 or 24 of these NAGA events. NAGA standing for the North American Grappling Association. So basically, all that really translates into it means that he wasn't half bad. And I'll just say that I did not really get a chance to prepare properly prior to it, but still the outcome is I ended up walking away with my first titles belt from that industry, and I think that I will go back to it again down the road. I just got a few other things that I'll take a priority for at least a short time period. So rest assured that I'm not taking up the rocking chair anytime soon. So even though the gray hair is coming in more and more immensely, matter of fact, I don't think you guys would even recognize it right now because during the holidays here, I kind of decided to. Had a couple of weeks there where I did not really have to go out and do any kind of public appearances, so I kind of let the razor go. And now I've had a few people I've had half a dozen people approach me and ask me if I was the Del Secchi man. And of course I had 1 or 2 people actually accuse me of being Santa Claus. I'm thinking, I don't know about that one. I'd rather have the Del Secchi man as opposed to Santa Claus.
Well, Dan, you can blame me for that because on our Undisputed Wrestling Show website, your latest photo of your appearance has you with your Santa Claus hat on.
Well, I mean, the Santa Claus hat is one aspect. It's the sheer fact that the hair, being uncolored and the stash gray and the whole 9 yards. I've got a full beard here right now. Sporting and end up being in New York City just this past weekend for the World MMA Expo. And that was actually pretty cool. But it was a decent turnout for their event, and you had John Bones that was there, and then they had the Spider himself, Silva. That it was good.
Well, it's always awesome to have you on the show, of course, Dan. This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show, brought to you by the Angry Marks Podcast Network. I wanted to get your thoughts on something as we talked mixed martial arts, UFC, with you in the past. And the biggest thing that's happened since we've last spoken to you was the run of Ronda Rousey. I wanted to get your thoughts on, number 1, her run, and number 2, her subsequent defeat, and number 3, the promotion of this next fight with Holly Holm.
Well, I mean, I'll just jump in in a couple of different ways. I mean, the reality is, everyone, there's always going to be someone out there that's bigger and badder than what you are. The more that you're out in the game, people are able to study your strengths, your weaknesses. It's it's just the inevitability. It's what will be the more interesting aspect is to see how does Ronda respond. I mean, it's everyone's going to get knocked down at some point. It's how you get up, you dust yourself off, and you move on from there. That actually, I think, really separates two champions. So we'll just have to wait to see. The thing that I don't think is really right is the sheer fact that why does Holmes have to wait for a rematch when Holmes should be able to go on and continue to compete with others, and then when Ronda is ready, yeah, sure, they could do another match down the road, but there should be some other contenders that she should be able to face first before, giving Ronda a rematch that quickly. I mean, just to do a rematch back to back, I don't think is really the right thing to be doing. But
do you think, Dan, that she was believing her own hype and thought she couldn't be taken down?
I mean, I'd just be really speculating. I've actually never met Ronda. But I mean, I like a lot of the people that she's been associated with, especially like someone like a Judo Gina Bell. He's a phenomenal individual. I mean, it's hard to say. That's a possibility. I mean, that's some of the things I've read, that she didn't train properly, or that maybe she got caught up into all her own hype and things of that nature. It's hard to say. I mean, she had a great track record for herself to where she was a proven commodity. Undefeated. A lot of her matches almost all taking place in the first round, within the first minute or less. So she had a great track record running for herself. But you can never underestimate anybody. When you go out there, you should still go out there with the same cautious attitude, maybe in the beginning. But like I said, I'm just purely speculating.
Well, let's tag it on off to the Morningstar Will Huckabee, as I know a lot of gentlemen have questions for you. Will, you're in the ring with Dan the Beast Severn.
All right, thanks, Rick. Mr. Severn, I was going to ask you, keeping over that thread and stuff about Ronda Rousey and everything. After you've had a great little top, especially in a sport like MMA. What's the mind state of somebody like Ronda Rousey after taking that first defeat? Do you start doubting yourself? What goes through your mind, and how do you bounce back from that mentally?
Well, I mean, I think the reality is that you just have to go back and look at the match. And once again, it's, as I stated earlier, that very few people ever go through the entire career, undefeated. It's the way that you respond back to it. If a defeat could be looked upon as a wake-up call, of a defeat, people ask me all the time, I've had a very successful career overall. I don't remember really the victories. Only the defeats are actually etched themselves into my mind, because I can almost pinpoint at the point that I either mentally let myself down, or whether I made a technical or tactical type of an error in a cost. So, I mean, that's what she has to do. Just go back, look over her footage. What did she do right? What did she do wrong? And just kind of go from there. The only time that defeat actually is a true defeat is when you let it defeat you mentally and physically after that. It's the way that she'll respond from it is what will be the real telltale sign.
Cool. Now I would like to kind of switch gears a little bit, and because you have so much experience, not only MMA, but also professional wrestling. With this latest huge mega fight,
I was kind of hoping that we got two gentlemen on the phone here tonight. I was hoping we jumped into a little bit of professional wrestling here.
I was just about to. With this latest major super fight with Conor McGregor and stuff, we see how he's cutting promos on his opponents and everything and stuff. Do you feel that professional wrestling is making more of a bigger impact on MMA than what a lot of the public is letting on?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I would say that someone like Dana White has been using the WWE playbook as the UFC playbook. It's likewise for Bellator. You got the number one and number two MMA companies in the world that are realizing, and actually have realized for some time now, that, fighters are fighters. But if they can have fighters that have charisma, that know how to cut promos, that know how to have cage presence, fighters are almost a dime a dozen. It's the ones that walk out there with these whipped hairdos, whipped facial hair, coloring of their hair, again, the promos and things of that nature. I'll use Rashad Evans, for example. Rashad Evans, when he first began his MMA career, he was a former wrestler at Michigan State University. He came down to my place in Coldwater, Michigan. He did the first of his amateur MMA matches with my company, and then I got him in his first pro-level event. And, MMA class took place on a couple of nights a week, and the professionals were on alternate nights. And Rashad was actually quiet, was very quiet. And I go, Rashad, I said, you need to become more than what you are. I go, come on in on a Monday, Wednesday, and watch my professional wrestlers. Watch them how, when they walk to the ring, as soon as they come to that curtain, whatever, if they're using whatever their ring interest music, everything is telling something about them. Everything from the music to the way that they come through the curtain, to how they're walking towards that ring, if they stop along the way, the interaction that they have with the fans. I mean, they're telling a story. Whether you like them or dislike them, they're looking for a response, and they're going to get that response. And so, Rashad became actually a lot more flamboyant, loud, and he became what he is today. And again, I'm just using his as an example because he's probably one of my better MMA guys to go on. Although I have a great character by the name of Money Mike Roberts, who came to my place for professional wrestling first, and then he stayed at my facility, and he started cross-training into mixed martial arts on the alternative nights. He was so good he could almost incite an MMA crowd into a near riot. He's had to been police escorted from the cage to the back room, but it was all just him knowing how to touch nerves, how to get a reaction out of people, and that's the beauty about professional wrestling. It teaches you so much psychological type aspects. So, and I give a great deal of creativity that I have now because of being involved in that industry.
Now, one more question before I pass it on to one of my awesome co-hosts and stuff. We see that professional wrestling, a lot of the top guys are getting injured and getting banged up and stuff. What's your opinion of why this is happening? Do you think it's because of the schedule? Do you think it's because these guys are, trying more or being more physically dangerous and trying more high-risk moves in the ring and stuff? Or do you think it's a training issue? Do you think that, we as professional wrestlers have gotten away from our bread and butter as far as training goes, and we're doing more CrossFit and stuff like that when we should be doing more Hindu squats?
Well, twofold on that. First off, there's a lot of professional wrestlers that I think need to go back to the basic grassroots aspects of learning how to actually wrestle. And what I mean by that there's a lot of guys that they can go out there, they've got good athletic bodies, they can pose, they can flex, they can cut promos, but the marquee still says professional wrestling. I think a lot of guys, I know that at my own training facility, when we have guys going through the program, they actually have to earn the privilege of making it into the ring. They start off on wrestling mats, and they learn a lot of basic elements of moves, and then they have to start putting these moves together, and they have to think about their character, whether they're going to be the heel or the face, and how to show that character through facial expressions and body language and vocal ability. And then I have we call them blue mat matches because the mat's blue. And it's the exact same size of the ring, except there's no ropes, there's no turnbuckles. So literally, you have to step out or approach this mat like it's a ring. So you approach it, and again, you're telling that story. So that we do the mock quick introduction. Here comes blah, blah, blah. And so as they come in, it's the way that they walk towards the mat and the way that they may stop and interact with the different other students that are grading and critiquing this match. Because we'll have 8, 10 or more people that are all sitting on different sides of the mat, and we've all got a piece of paper and pencil, and we're actually writing down what's known as a constructive critique. Because destructive just means you sucked, you did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. No, you look at what are the things that went right and what are the things that you can improve upon. I hate negative type of aspects that I'm always trying to build off the positive. So they'll do their match, and in the beginning they have to do a minimum of a 5-minute match. If it falls under 5 minutes, automatic failure. And with each progressive match, they have to increase it so that by the time they can pass 5 blue mat matches, you would be surprised the kind of matches that these guys can put on, knowing there are no ropes to be whipped off, or there's no turnbuckles to go into, because everyone has been involved in the horror stories of professional wrestling where they're on the independent scene, they show up at this high school gymnasium or this armory, and either the ring is late or the ring doesn't show up at all, and they've had to roll out some amateur wrestling mats, and now the show has to take place on amateur wrestling mats. My guys are all good to go because they can go out there and they can put on the match. And that's where, I'm really proud to say that a lot of the guys have gone on to do some really great things. So I kind of, going into a long drawn out type process to answer your question, but, I even look at the most dominant companies, the WWE, even TNA, that a lot of these guys, they need to go back. I think Vince himself ought to take his troop of WWE wrestlers, and at least once a month, they should be required to work out and just go through the most basic fundamentals of do a little chain wrestling, know how to take proper bumps, and just for the safety. The thing about professional wrestling is you are entrusting me really with your life, and the ironic part of like my own career has been on both sides, that professional wrestler and that MMA competitor, and I've been hurt far worse in my professional wrestling career than I have been in all of my cage fights combined, and that's almost a contradiction in terms, but one, you just have to walk out and get results. The other one, you are putting on an entertainment product for a certain amount of time, so there is give and take, and you have to trust your body into the hands of somebody else.
Dan, Will brought up an interesting point there that I have been thinking about for a while too, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on this. With the training aspect of professional wrestlers now, everybody obviously has a massive weight regimen that they use to get bigger and stronger, and professional athletes, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, professional wrestling, they're all into very heavy lifting programs and getting stronger. Do you think that plays a big role in the lack of flexibility that some of these guys may be having and getting these various injuries? As we watched, once again, Wade Barrett falling to another injury for the umpteenth million time of his young career. Does that play a part in it?
Well, I mean, I'll even pose that same question back to the other two gentlemen in professionals in the industry. I'll give you my 2 cents there first onto it. I don't think it's necessary that you have to lift heavy weight in order to be in professional wrestling. You can when you look at bodybuilders, it's not that they're lifting massive heavy weight all the time. It's the amount of repetitions that they're putting in, and the diet in order to lose the body fat that's going to also help bring out the muscularity in that. So, I mean, I don't think you need to lift heavy all the time. There's you have to allow your body to recuperate. And I think that if you alternate workouts between doing a heavy session, maybe then going to one or two lighter sessions, doing something different, maybe put a little bit more cardiovascular base so that you're able to do a more longer duration bout. For example, you guys are not aware of this, but I have something interesting on the horizon. And for the last 30 days, I've been lifting just about every single day. But at my age, my body cannot recoup as quickly. And so I have to listen to my body. So I'm lifting about heavy once every 4 days. But I'm lifting every day, just different aspects of lifting, or some that lifting is more cardiovascular based than other aspects. And I'm getting phenomenal results, even at my ripe old age.
So that does play a big part of it. Just like you were saying, it just seems like flexibility when you lift weights extensively all the time and don't mix it up a little bit. Granted, guys are healing faster because they're stronger and in better shape, but the flexibility, it seems like in the ring, has suffered as a result.
Well, I mean, that's the only thing I forgot to really touch on, because you talk about, we just talked about weightlifting. Prior to lifting weights, you really should go through some type of a warm-up and stretching period of time. But what is almost even more important is once you are done lifting, to stretch again to help rid the body of lactic acid, things of that nature. And I think that's really the more important aspect. Typically, even myself, I'll do something on the elliptical machine, or jump on a Stairmaster or a treadmill, just to get the body warmed up, just to get it sweating a little bit. And then I'll go do some, not a lot of stretching, but I'll do some to where, the body's moving to at least full range. But at the end of my workout, I spend a lot more time on my stretching tour. I mean, literally, I'm taking up to almost 20 minutes of stretching once I'm done, especially on that heavy session day. I take up that much more, and I already see an improvement in my overall flexibility as well.
Right. Hey, everyone. This is the 100th episode of the Undisputed Wrestling Show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. I invite all of you, if you came here to listen to Dan Severn talk about his entire rehash of his career, you've come to the wrong place. We've been there. We've done that. This gentleman's been on our show 3 times. Go check us out, www.theundisputedwrestlingshow.weebly.com. Listen to all 3 of the previous Dan the Beast Severn interviews, in addition to every interview we've ever had. Everybody look out. He's storming the ring. Drew Skills is climbing in to get in with Dan the Beast Severn. Drew, you got it.
Are you there, Drew?
Mr. Skills, are you there?
Sorry about that. I had a little technical difficulty. But, hey, I'm here. It's great to be on the episode.
You are a technical difficulty, Drew.
I am a technical difficulty, baby. But it's great. The 100th episode, we got Dan the Beast Severn on. Thank you so much for coming on our 100th episode, Dan.
No, I appreciate you being on there. I mean, Drew, both you and Will are professional wrestlers. I mean, I don't know if you heard my reply on that. I mean, I'm not certain how you guys train at this nature, but do you lift both you and Will, do you lift a lot heavier weights, or do you mix it up? Do you involve stretching as part of that workout routine?
Well,
hang on, Drew. Before you answer that, Drew, did you realize that you were going to be interviewed by Dan the Beast Severn?
I was not aware. I wasn't aware, but hey, I'm glad it's happening.
Absolutely.
Well, you're just getting one perspective from myself. I just figure since we have 3 people from the industry, I mean, I think it'd be great just to get a little cross-sampling here, because you have obviously the young with the old.
Sure, and I personally, my training has changed throughout the years. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I'm a little older now than I was when I got started. I got started a little late, so I was in my mid-late 20s when I started. So I'm a little older now myself, and of course the training regimen has changed as my body has changed. But I think as far as like what Rick was talking about, as far as injuries and heavy lifting. I think, people work out differently. You got guys that love CrossFit. You got guys that just love to power lift, guys like Cesaro and Cena, and those guys want to throw up as much weight as they can. I know how that feels. I've been there. I used to do that myself. So people train different ways. I think the big aspect when it comes to injuries is that they just happen in the sport. When you throw 250 plus pounds of meat at the floor 10 times every night, 5, 6 times a week, you can't do it too long without something given. So I think, as far as I'm concerned, people train different ways to feel how they want to feel. And, some people train to run marathons. Some people train to bodybuild, and bodybuild doesn't necessarily mean heavy weights once you've put on the mass. It's more, toning and refining. But people work out different ways, and injuries are just something, it's an aspect of our business.
Yep, I agree.
What do you think, Will?
I agree with both of you. I think that not everybody should train the same way, but I think that the older you get, your training habits need to change. You can't work out and train the same at 44 that you did at 24, or even at 40, because your body just goes through so many changes, especially in this sport. I think that DDP might have had it right that the older you get, the more you have to worry about stretching and conditioning, and that should be more of a focus than it is pushing up the big heavy weight and stuff. Because I know from experience, you can only bench press 405 so many times before your elbows and your wrists and even your back and legs and stuff really start getting to you.
Yeah, your body kind of answers to you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, a lot of that just boils down to you have to listen to your body, and I think that's what has come through everyone's testimony here tonight. That age takes a factor. Injuries are definitely always going to take the factor. What type of a wrestler are you to? Are you that flyer versus that technical wrestler versus that brawler versus that? There's so many different aspects of it, and just the constant bumping, the way it jars your body, and how many matches. When you think about the average wrestler on a WWE contract, last I knew was 187 dates that they're giving up on an annual basis. That's a lot of dates. That's a lot of bumping. You are more likely that you are going to suffer some kind of injury, and you're not given a chance really to rest and to heal up, because you have to go into your next match and your next match. So that's it's a tough life. It's a tough lifestyle. I always kind of equate it to that. I tell people that I've only outlived 6 of my cage fighting opponents and almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners, and none of them were older than me. So that just tells you a lot about that industry and how demanding it is on the body.
Most definitely. And you talked a little bit before, Dan, about your training that you do, and I know some of your students, really good guys, really good in and out of the ring, from C.J. Otis to Jack Thriller to Rod Street. All those guys can do exactly what you said, and that's have a match in the middle of the ring and not have to worry about, what the condition of the ring is or what's going on. They can always get in there and have a good match.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's very nice of you to say that.
How was it for you, Dan, transitioning from when you first came, transitioning from the fighting to the pro wrestling? How was that for you?
It was the hardest part for me. At the time, I'd been an amateur wrestler for 26 years. And the hardest part for me was during my amateur wrestling career, I could walk out on that mat, and I was so focused, I literally could tune out the rest of the world. And all it was my opponent and I. And now I actually had to rewire my mental thinking, because in professional wrestling, I'm listening to the crowd now. And you're looking for that response. And each area of the United States is different. Whatever worked here in the southern states may not be working in the northern states versus the southern, eastern, or western. So it's kind of like each time you go out in front of a different crowd, it's like fishing. Are they going to bite on grubs, worms, grubs, spinners? I mean, you're testing different things to see what are they reacting to. So that was, the hardest part was to transition to, I no longer have an opponent, I have a partner. It's a partnership. That was difficult for me. And, well, to say that I was snug as a piperage, you could probably ask all of those guys still, and they'll probably still say that Dan still works awfully snug. I loosened up lately like the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. Just need a little bit more oil in my joints still.
Well, that's great. I was going to ask you, Dan, when you first got started pro wrestling to today, what are some of your thoughts on the changes in the business from when you started to today's modern product?
Well, I tell you, it's it's good. I'll say I equate it to just like mixed martial arts. You guys watch product way more than what I do. It's I watch. I mean, I really enjoyed watching the professionals as I was growing up, and then just through life itself getting just busier and busier. I just don't watch much television. Period. I swear I watch more television when I'm on the road, staying at whatever hotel, just channel surfing and watching, catching whatever MMA product there or whatever professional product that I happened to stumble across at the time. I'm not real crazy about some of the products I'm seeing right now, especially what the WWE is presenting right now. I'm not seeing any real good wrestling that's taking place, and that's part of what I keep looking at. The marquee still says this is what it is. I wish there was some more bigger than life characters on top of it all. That's a couple of aspects that I missed, and it was I think cool before when watching it that you had these almost what I call like come to life action heroes, and it is you can look at you're there to entertain people, and so you should really become this bigger than life character. But in a lot of ways, social media I think is kind of killing the industry there as well. But that's how I kind of look at it. I look at it, what are the age groups that you're really looking to aim for? And I keep thinking that you're still aiming for that a little bit higher age group of kids, the teenagers, and then those teenagers that go into the young adults and adults. They're just reminiscent of their days gone by, and they want to bring their families, their sons, their daughters to experience some of the same fun that they enjoyed. So I just kind of look at that. It still should fall along somewhat of that same format. Bigger than life characters, but still having the thing I was saying about professional wrestling is a 3-ring circus with a side freak show. There's something in it for everyone, whether you're out there watching midgets wrestling, whether you're watching females wrestling. If there's singles matches, there's tag team matches. You've got the giants. You've got there's something in it that should touch each person in an entertainment way somehow.
Totally agree, for sure.
And
earlier,
you got to look at even from a promoter's perspective, different finishes have got to take place as well. You can't. It's tough when you go to a lot of shows and there's let's say there's half a dozen, 7 or 8 matches on a show, and there's no differentiation from match 1 to the last match. There's got to be different lengths of matches. There's got to be different outcomes. How people are winning their matches and things of nature. There's got to be controversy, because you look at what's going to bring people back the next time is that controversy. And you and I are in there wrestling, and I might be getting the upper hand, and someone else comes in and attacks on me, and you both put the boots to me, and you leave me, and another face runs in and they chase you on up. So now we cut the promo. You guys, you dirty rats, and blah blah blah. You did this. Well, we're going to unite together now, and we'll take you on. So there's just ways of telling stories that you should be able to go on forever, taking a man from being in a singles match, taking it to the tag team match, to the point that they move on into a singles match once again, and just so that their career can actually go longer, but into different directions. Usually the cycle of a wrestler, it'll be face for a while, then they'll go to the dark side, the heel, and then back again, that's just the cycle of wrestling.
For sure. Most definitely.
This is the 100th episode of the Undisputed Wrestling Show. We've got Dan the Beast Severn here. Drew, did you have another question?
Yeah, I was going to ask him. You guys talked a little bit earlier about Ronda Rousey and her getting an immediate rematch. I agree with you, Dan. I don't think that she did anything in that match that would warrant a immediate rematch. I think Holly should be able to move on and fight someone like Misha. I wanted to know if you fought or if you watched the fights last weekend and saw the Conor McGregor fight and what you thought about it.
No, I did not. I heard all about it and how quickly things went, but I have not had a chance to see any of the clips whatsoever. I'd be kind of interested to see. I happened to be in Vegas for Conor McGregor's previous match. There was Chad Menendez. So I did witness that match, and what I will compliment Conor McGregor is that again, a very over the top character. The sheer fact, the show itself, the main event, what a presentation! You couldn't have asked for a greater presentation. You've got singers that are singing, it's just music, things of nature. It was a grand entrance, and then to have Conor McGregor was talking trash talk before the match even took place, to the fact that as the match is progressing, he's still trash talking and then backing things on up. And I said, Chad Menendez, I thought was doing a great job. And lots of people he lost because he took this match on short notice. I'm thinking to myself, no, if you would have given me Chad Menendez, I would have guaranteed you a different result. As a matter of fact, you give me him now and do a rematch with Conor McGregor, I guarantee you different results. That's coming from me. I'll give you that, because a lot of these athletes forget what brought them to the show in the first place. You have to understand what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. Strengthen your weaknesses, but still remember, attack with your strength. And that's where I see that as missing. Same way with you got the one heavyweight from Arizona State. I again, my background is amateur wrestling. I can take an amateur wrestler and give you a destroying machine way before I'll ever be able to take a boxer or kickboxer and it can produce the same product. Matter of fact, I probably can't even produce the same product whatsoever, but I can take a wrestler and I can give you a smashing machine, no problem.
Sure. What you talk about the heavyweight? You mentioned something about heavyweight. What do you think about the heavyweight division now?
No, basically,
that was on top of it.
I was really referring to like Cain Velasquez, just as another wrestler that he's had a couple losses where he just basically looks like he's trying to put on a boxing match, and I'm thinking, here you were, an all-state wrestler, an Arizona State NCAA qualifier, placer. I did not see any real grappling ability out of him, because and again, don't make. I want to make it sound like I'm just saying that you have to have grappling ability. Wrestling is just a piece of the puzzle. You need the match starts on its feet. So all these matches, you have to have your stand-up game plan. You have to know how to throw hands. You need to know how to throw some legs. You need to know something about Muay Thai. But the inevitability, almost all matches end up in some type of a clinch, or they get jammed up against a cage wall, or they end up getting taken down to the ground. So that grappling ability, but I would take a wrestler any day and to try to teach them something about the striking or the defending of striking, and then just get back into their strength. I mean, I coach at Arizona State, Michigan Wrestling Club. I used to referee challenge matches at weight classes, and you'd have two wrestlers so closely related because they work out with each other all the time. And so they get so frustrated in this challenge match that neither one is scoring points that they break into fisticuffs. And I'm thinking, now you give a wrestler simply the green light to punch somebody in the face. Ground and pound was a natural. And that was, I think, the devastating aspect for all these karate guys and taekwondo guys and they're standing out there and they got the black belts with all these stripes, stuff like this, and then you got this, 160-pound amateur wrestler that just goes double leg takedown, boom, and they pull a guard, and they're like, the wrestler just says, here, guard this, falls up his fist, and goes into ground and pound mode. A very barbaric, but oh so effective technique.
Well, I appreciate talking
before
to
we
you,
get to, I'm sorry, Drew.
I was gonna kick it over to Zane, but go right ahead, Rick.
I tell you, before we kick it over to Zane, since I was disconnected for a moment, Dan, sorry about that. Before we kick it to Zane, I wanted to get one question in regards to the resurgence of the NWA. We're starting to see it start to rise to prominence again. And as we discussed earlier, these two fine gentlemen, Will Huckabee, the Morning Star, who is the Continental Champion. Drew is currently the number 7 ranked contender for the NWA World Championship. Dan, as one of the greatest champions in the history of the NWA, what advice do you have for these gentlemen?
Well, Drew, actually, I have a question for you. If you're in the contender role for the heavyweight title right now?
Yes, sir.
Well, fantastic. Who is the current champion?
Jack Dane, Godzilla.
What's that?
Jack Dane. He goes by Godzilla.
Godzilla Jack Dane.
Okay. Well, again, I don't keep up with the current. I mean, I know for a while there was a Japanese wrestler that was a champion, and he was having problems with dropping the strap to whoever a couple of the contenders were at that point in time. So I just was kind of curious about that. Well, I mean, what do you two gentlemen feel about how the NWA is utilizing of? Are they doing a good job of getting the media attention for the NWA, and is it being circulated around into several different territories, or is it just basically in just only a couple?
Well, Will, you've got a longer tenure in the NWA than I do. So go ahead and you can go first.
Well, as far as the NWA goes, they're having a great resurgence. I think that Bruce Tharp is doing things the smart way. Instead of trying to rush and put his poker in many different fires, he's taking his time and slowly build it up. At first it was and as well as we do, Mr. Severn, you have to get rid of all the really bad companies and stuff. And I think that he did a really good job of weeding out companies that just want to say they were NWA affiliates, and bringing in companies who really wanted to help not only push but build the NWA brand back to its prominence. Number two, he was smart and bought the old Houston wrestling territory tapes and stuff, and started NWA Classics, where a lot of wrestling fans could go back and watch wrestling that Vince McMahon doesn't want you to see. See Harley Race Body Slam, Andre the Giant, before Hulk Hogan did it, et cetera, et cetera. And also, he's built up the international connections, getting the NWA back into Japan, back into, Europe and Australia and Mexico. And from what I've heard rumors of there being another NWA affiliate in Canada. So, in the past, 10, 15 years, that kind of stopped for a while. But he's building up, building connections back and stuff internationally, and make sure that he has the world champions are a good representation of not only the NWA, but of professional wrestling right now. The NWA world champion is Jack Dane, who's 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds plus, but can still move and is very agile. He has the World Tag Team Champions is former WWE star Rob Conway and Matt Riviera. And then, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion, Jusha Thunder Liger, who is amazing, is an icon in professional wrestling. So I think that he's done a really good job. He's still there. A lot of things that he's still has in the works as far as, having a national TV show for the NWA. But he's making sure that a lot of the affiliates and stuff are making sure that they get on he's making sure they get on local TV and stuff, and not like how some wrestling companies say we have a TV show and what they're doing is giving them public access or having an internet show. He's really pushing for the affiliates to get on local TV on a legitimate channel that's not public access and stuff. So I'm really excited to be a part of the NWA. I grew up watching it and stuff. I grew up watching, you and Flair and everybody. And it's really good to be a part of the resurgence of it.
Well,
how about you, Drew Skills? What do you think?
I think I made a mistake.
Let me jump in for 1 second there before we go
sure.
on to Drew there. Well, I just wanted to ask one quick question over there, because again, the way that technology, and again, this for both gentlemen right there, the way that technology is moving forward, and more and more things can happen on the internet. For watching. And that'd be a YouTube channel, things of nature. Is anything taking place along those lines? I mean, live streaming is taking place more and more, in a lot of different industries. So I just wondering, is that something that the current NWA product is embracing, or?
I'm not accessing that. I don't know if you think about doing any live streaming. So I know there are a couple of affiliates who have been torn with the idea of doing, live internet pay-per-views and stuff. And the biggest problem with that is making sure you have the bandwidth wide enough, just in case, the system crashes. We've seen ROH do that several times when they first started doing live pay-per-views and stuff, where, the stream would crash because so many people were logging on to it and stuff. But the NWA channel, the YouTube channel is doing really well, but like I said, right now he's pushing the NWA's version of the WWE Network, which is NWA Classics. Right now he's building on, like I said, a lot of old NWA stuff from the Houston territories, because the NWA actually owns that. That's one of the few territories that Vince McMahon didn't buy. Didn't buy the video library and stuff. And once he gets all that loaded up, then he'll start loading up current product from all the territories and stuff. And something else I forgot to mention is that he's really pushing for the different affiliates and territories to actually work with each other, bringing in each other's champion and stuff, and cross-promoting. This coming weekend, I live in North Carolina, and I'm flying to Portland, Oregon, to wrestle the NWA Pacific Northwest champion. So he's making sure that guys get along and guys are working together.
No, that's great. I think that's fantastic. So that's really good to hear.
How about you, Drew? Your thoughts on it before we hand off to Zane?
I think I made a mistake and let Will go first. He killed it. I agree totally. The resurgence is awesome for a company with so much prestige and tradition. To see a resurgence like this, and I may be mistaken, but I think they just showed on Access Television on New Japan. Wasn't Rob Conway's title defense over there? Wasn't that just on Access TV?
Yeah, it was. It actually was. Him and Bruce started making an appearance on Access TV and stuff, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, all that stuff.
I'll tell you what, guys. This is the Undisputed Wrestling Show. This is our 100th episode on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. We do have a Facebook page. Go check it out. We also have a Twitter page. Go check it out. Zane, what are those handles? Do you have them off the top of your head, sir?
The Twitter is at TUWS Podcast, and Facebook is just the Undisputed Wrestling Show. And you can also check us out at www.theundisputedwrestlingshow.weebly.com.
Absolutely. And without further ado, the voice just spoke. The golden throat of Zane Paisley, the bearded wonder himself. Zane, let's wrap this up with Dan the Beast Severn.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on with us. This is your fourth time on our show, and I just checked it out on our website. We've had 176 unique guests. That means that some of them have been on before multiple times, but out of the 176, we wanted to have you on tonight. So we really appreciate it.
I hope it does some good there for you.
Well, you join prestigious ranks of 4-time guests, including Tracy Smothers and Congo Kong. So that's some great company to be in. We've had Cue Ball Carmichael on several times, and we recruited him to be the host. We've had Drew Skills on several times, and we recruited him to be a host. We've had Will Huckabee on, and we've recruited him to be a host. So a couple more times, and we might have to make you a permanent star on the show.
Well, I haven't quite figured out what I want to be yet when I grow up, so maybe that's an option here now.
Well, we would love to have you, obviously, anytime that you can come on. I know our listeners can check out your stuff at on Facebook at The Beast Dan Severn, and on Twitter at Dan Beast Severn. You've also got an awesome website, dansevern.com, where they can learn all about how to contact you for seminars, including MMA training, including police officer training, different appearances that you're going to be at, and how to contact you for that. And there's an awesome shop on there where they can buy signed autographs, magazines, awesome T-shirts, and action figures. So we really appreciate you coming on. Now, while I was stalking your Facebook page, I got really interested in an event that you're going to be at on Thursday. You're going to be at Journey Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in North Manchester, Indiana, which is really close to my hometown of Peru, Indiana.
Yes, it is.
It says that for only $30, they can attend a workshop, and it's not just for big men. Small fellers can come too. And then after the seminar, you're going to have a big buffet of beef and noodles, mashed potatoes, green beans, dinner roll, and a soft drink for only $30. How can anybody possibly beat that offer?
Pretty tough.
The funny thing about that, when this was my second time going down there, when it came about that there was like a chat room that was going on, and somehow I got tagged into it. And all I know is it was a bunch of big guys, and they were complaining about why are all of these submission grappling seminars always geared towards lightweights. And like, will anyone please put on a big man's seminar? And I simply contacted the gentleman that went hosting. I said, well, throw me out there as one of the considerations that could do something like that for me. And they jumped all over it. So they put it together, and it was supposed to be all for big guys, wasn't it? So it was great. I said, the only thing that would make it better, I said, is if we did this big man's thing and we had a buffet afterwards.
Ah.
So he put it all together, and it was fantastic. So it was. I think that like the little thing I put out there today was something like 2 more days and it's similar time. It's rolling time. It's terrorizing a buffet time. Who could ask for more? It must be Christmas time to have so many wishes come true. Just having some fun with it.
Well, that sounds awesome. And so then after that, you're going to be traveling through Florida next week too, right?
Well, this weekend.
Okay, so Thursday you're going to be in North Manchester, Indiana, and then over the weekend you're going to be in Florida. Any events that you want to plug down in Florida?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be down there for just a couple of different seminars. I'd just say again, just go to the Facebook page. It's basically the information is on there. You'd think I'd be able to recite it right off the top of my head, but I can't.
Okay.
So,
so everybody check out your Facebook and your Twitter. You'd mentioned earlier about how you wanted to see more actual wrestling done in WWE or really any of the televised ones. Have you seen a tag team in NXT yet called Chad Gable and Jason Jordan?
No.
If you had, you would remember them. They're great amateur wrestlers. Jason Jordan graduated from Indiana University, and Chad Gable graduated from Northern Michigan University. So you need to check those two out. I think you'd be very impressed, and if that's the next crop of talent coming out, you will enjoy them. So. Well, good.
No, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention because, like I said, I don't watch a lot of television, so sometimes I might be one of the worst people asked to give me overall generalization like that, but that's what I've seen in the past.
And I don't want to end it down on a down note, but did you know Jim Dotson, the WWE head of security, while you were there?
Yeah. Again, to pull out a name with a face, that'd be hard because to realize, during my time there was from around that 98 period of time. So a lot of things have happened between now and then. You think I'd be able to recite that, but I would tell people I've lived the lives of probably 4 or 5 people already, and I haven't slowed down yet. I expect to live one more life before I call it quits.
Well, he was the head of security while you were down there. He was head of security from 95 to 2001. Big guy. He always wore a backwards hat. he had passed away last week, so I didn't know if you had any thoughts about him, but it was a brief period in your time, so I understand you're not having thoughts on him right now. So
I really don't have the thoughts other than that. It's sad to hear someone that probably passed away at a younger age than what they probably should have. So
yes, past age of 49.
That's, to me, it's like, I look at that's a young man. So it's like around my athletes, they keep seeing me on the mat, and they just half the time they just come in to see if they can keep up with the old guy, and then they keep saying, well, how long do you think you keep going to? I go, well, I said I plan on living to be 125, so I want to stay. I have to do something to preoccupy my time. So they just kind of laugh at me. I said, well, at 125. I hope to have my life taken tragically and suddenly by a jealous husband. So a man's got to have a dream, right?
Yes,
that's right.
Well, I'm going to shoot you some videos of Jordan and Gable and of Drew Skills and Will Huckabee that you can enjoy while you're on your travels this weekend. Merry Christmas to you. Do you have any big Christmas plans? What do you do for the holidays?
Well, actually, that's when my time usually is a little bit slower, and then that's why I get to spend definitely more family time. And I do enjoy that. Well, typically, what I'm looking at right now is I might make a trip. I'll be out in Arizona at the time. I'm looking at making a trip over to California and maybe seeing the Sequoia National Forest or the Redwood National Forest. Because I just thought my travel time is going to be a lot less. So I'll take them out. Might do just kind of like a true vacation.
Well, that sounds excellent. You deserve it, sir.
That's right. Well, as everyone knows, this is the 100th episode on the Undisputed Wrestling Show on the Angry Marks Podcast Network. If it wasn't for the graciousness of our guests, the show would be absolutely nothing. And Dan, to be Severn, you've been one of the very most gracious, and that's why we have you here tonight. We appreciate you so much, my friend.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, especially for this historic moment, 100th episode. So I appreciate, and I wish Will and Julie nothing but the best there for their pursuit of their professional wrestling career, because that is a tough industry, and I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck there in their future endeavors in this sport.
Thank you very much.
Dan, we'll make sure we catch up with you in another 8 or 9 months. So we got to keep up with Dan Severn. What's going on in your world?
Well, hopefully within that time frame, there should be at least something very, very interesting that should be, it might even be out in the mainstream by then.
Can you give us
a teaser, Dan?
Sure, I can. It would be called Ken Shamrock versus Dan Severn 3.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
They got all these old geezer matches taking place. You got Hoist Gracie and Shamrock doing their match in Bellator, and I'm going to make some contacts with Bellator to say how does Dan Severn get to play in this game there now. But I have yet another company that already has Ken Shamrock's letter of intent signed and mine signed, so it's on the horizon.
Wow. Can you give us any initials for this company that we can look for it, or a venue or anything?
It's not an MMA company whatsoever. It's actually a brand new network that's coming out, and they're doing a number of things to bring notoriety to their networks. Things that's going to involve professional wrestling, things that's going to involve in the boxing world, the golfing world, the MMA world. So they're hitting into a lot of different markets to bring attention really to their new network.
That is absolutely phenomenal, Dan. We weren't expecting that one.
Well, there you go. I can say that's even a little bit more than just a hint now, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit more.
You dropped the bomb on us right at the very last minute. See, you got him coming back for more, Dan.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I mean, like I said, I plan on being around for 125. Got to keep life interesting.
That's right.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
We thank you so much, brother.
Okay. Take care, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You too. We'll catch you next round, buddy.
Yep. Bye.
Happy holidays.
Dan the Beast Severn drops the bomb and then just walks away.
We get Rick Craig back.
Man.
We get Rick Craig back for our 100th episode, and your investigative interviewing has drug up some breaking news.
That's got to be it, Drew.